Welcome to the Two Marketing Moms podcast. We are two women with more than 50 years of marketing and advertising experience between us, and we want to talk about the struggles, the fails, and the wins that we experienced while building our careers, being a boss, juggling work and a home life, and arguably the hardest and yet most fulfilling job, being a mom. This podcast was created for marketing and advertising professionals, especially the up-and-coming marketing stars of the future. We hope these tips, tricks, and advice will help you navigate work and life and get ahead. Welcome to the Two Marketing Moms podcast. Today's episode is called How to Prosper in Life, Love, and Work with special guest Kelly Francis. Kelly is a former recruiting expert turned certified life motivational coach, a keynote speaker, and the founder of KellySUITE, a business created to mentor and motivate career women to set the stage for their own business. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Julia. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. I think you're, including me, the third Kelly we've had on the podcast. So it seems to be a popular name, which is strange to me because usually it's kind of a name from the 60s and the 70s. So we love to start the podcast talking a little bit about our personal journeys because we've all had different journeys to get where we are today. And I know you've had a very unique journey as well. You started as a recruiting expert, and then you became an entrepreneur, and then you became a certified life and motivational coach with KellySUITE. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey and how that worked for you and how it led to publishing The Prosperity Effect and all the tools that you have for motivating?
Sure. So the story really starts when I was 19. At 19, I was in my freshman year of college. And honestly, it was tough because my home life wasn't the best. I was living home, going to a commuter college on Long Island. And I had this pivotal moment one night, which I won't go into what happened, but something happened. And I just remember turning to my boyfriend at the time and I said, I can't do this. I need to get out. Whatever it takes, I have to find an apartment and put myself through school and break out of this because I don't want this to be my life. And if I want a different life than the one that I'm living, it's going to be up to me to set the stage for my own success and break these chains. And I did. Sometimes I look back, I have no idea how I did it. I was full-time college student working 3 jobs, and I would arrange so I took night classes that met for longer periods of time. So they only met once a week. So each night of the week, I could take a different class. And I did it. I put myself through college. I earned my bachelor's. And after college was like, what do I do with an oral communications degree? What now? Right? And just started working some odd and end jobs. Ended up as a retail store manager, which was just not planned. It just kind of happened. But what happens when you're a retail manager, you wear a lot of hats. You're a salesperson, an operations person, a marketing person, a merchandise person, and you're an HR person. And if you're not aware, when you're in retail, the need for store associates is a constant revolving door. So I did a lot of hiring and I started to realize, wait, I like this. I like interviewing people and I love training them. It was my favorite part of the job. So I got this crazy idea that I wanted to be a recruiter somewhere in a corporate office with air conditioning. And I didn't have to worry about why someone didn't buy 2 pairs of shoes so that I could make my sales the day before. And I have no idea where it came from, but I set out on this mission and I said, I'm going to start interviewing and looking for jobs, and I'm not going to accept any offers unless someone gives me a chance at being a recruiter. And from that day, when I made that decision, I think it was maybe somewhere between 4 and 6 months, countless interviews later, and Macy's, I was living on Long Island at the time, Macy's gave me an opportunity as a talent manager. I was responsible for the hiring and training of all of the store staff for 4 stores on Long Island, which is a big deal. Macy's stores at the time, before online started to take over and, take charge of everything in the retail space, those stores could have anywhere from 130 to over 300 staff in one store. And I was responsible for 4 stores. It was a dream come true for a girl in her 20s. And I had staff reporting into me during the holiday season for a good 3 months out of the year. I would staff up to about 24 recruiting and training staff just so that we could accomplish those goals. So that was just the spark that ignited the rest of my career. That thing in me that started back when I was 19 that said, hey, when I want something, I'm just going to go after it and not stop until I get what I want. It was just a domino effect. So at Macy's, I just started getting one promotion after another. In 3 years, I think I had 3 or 4 promotions. And I was the type of person, I would go to my VP of HR and say, hey, can we walk to the food court and grab a coffee? I need to talk to you. And I would tell him all of the accomplishments I had in the previous 6 to 12 months and let him know what I was ready for and what I wanted to do next. And then I would just get a promotion. And it just started happening. And so from there, I said, well, I wanted to ditch the retail badge. When you're in retail, even on the corporate side of things, you always have that magnetic name tag that you have to put on your shirt. And I decided I wanted to ditch the badge. I wanted to go truly corporate so that I wouldn't have to wear the badge anymore. And I did. And from there, it was just one job after another until it got to a point where I started leading, building, developing recruiting departments and teams. And I would get picked up sometimes by small businesses and startups who would just need some help bringing recruiting in-house and redesigning it. Companies that were small and were spending tons of money on agencies and wanted to move things in-house. And I was really fortunate enough about 3 years ago at one of the jobs that I had. I met these 2, eventually 3 young ladies in their 20s who would always complain about how they didn't know what their purpose was and they felt stuck and they would have all these big dreams that they didn't think were possible. And I'm a very, very empathetic, loving, caring person, but I'm also very direct. And so it's perfect blend of, well, take out your Uber history. You're spending, wait, how much? Let's start adding this up. In the past 30 days, you've spent $1,200 on Uber and Lyft. No, we're not doing this. We have a plan. You're going to start putting money aside and we would come up with goals. And next thing you know, 3 months later, that same girl who was spending $1,200 on Uber and was afraid to drive had her own car. Then she had an apartment and then she had a master's degree. Then she became an e-com model. Then she ended up meeting someone and that wasn't even one of the original goals. And so this happened with 2 or 3 women who have now become my mentees, my friends. And every time they would achieve one of their accomplishments, I would light up as if their success was my success. And I was just almost watching what I wished would have been my life sooner through their eyes, because it took me so long to get to this place where I got the things that I wanted. Because while on one hand, my success in my career that I shared with you in the recruiting trajectory was really successful, but I was hiding behind it. I was in some really toxic and hurtful relationships. So on the outside, colleagues and friends were looking at me thinking, this girl has it all. My sister would come spend the weekend and tell everyone on Facebook she was rolling on her sister's bankroll. I would go out with friends and pick up $300-$400 dinner tabs. And I was traveling, and behind the scenes, my relationships were in a mess. And so there was a disconnect. And then I finally got to this point in my 30s, my mid 30s, where I said, this is enough. It has to stop. And we'll probably talk more about that later. But I ended up meeting the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. I've been married, very happily married for over 5 years. And that's sort of where it all came to be, is through helping these other women and realizing I can use my own experiences to help these career women go after what they want. And I was watching them achieve goals that they never thought they could put on the table, and faster than any of us, even myself, could have imagined. It was quite remarkable. And so I said, you know what, wherever my career takes me, I don't know. I don't know that I was striving to be the next VP of HR or CEO somewhere, but I decided within the past, I would say, year to 2 years that I was going to set out on a personal mission to help as many women as possible prosper in every single area of their lives. I'm not a mom, but I know you're both moms, right? We are the backbones of everything, our families, our jobs, our communities. And when we prosper, everybody wins, everybody benefits. But when we're struggling, we force ourselves to show up with our best face on in one area, but then maybe we're in our bedroom crying and nobody knows it. And then, you hear the kids calling mom or your husband needs something. And then you're, picking it back up together and wiping the tears away. And why do we settle for that? Why is that okay? Why not have fulfillment across the board? Why can't your career be on track? Your relationships be on track? Your spirituality, your finances? And so I'm just on a mission, no matter how big or small, one woman at a time, to help women not wait until they're in their 40s to realize that you can have it all. You can be happy and successful. It's up to you. You have the power to set the stage for your own life. And that's how KellySUITE was born. That's how the Prosperity Effect Planner was born. And that's how I got here.
I feel like your faster formula makes so much sense that I've heard your story, because it really actually embodies you, and your whole philosophy, which just is born out of your experience, which seems so authentic. In our last podcast episode, we were talking to a woman that wrote a book, and we talked a lot about, just the generations of women before you really pave the way. Right. And so I think what you're talking about, and we also talk about this a lot on our podcast about mentorship, that is so powerful, such a powerful tool in helping shape someone's life. So let's talk about your prosperity effect. What is it? And, how do you use it as a tool?
Sure. So I like to think of it as a roadmap almost. It's a proven path to get what you want in life, love, and work. And so I have to be honest, I call it, a goal setting planner. I don't even know if the word planner does it justice. I just haven't found another word to use for it, because it's sort of like having a coach in your pocket. As a certified life coach, I was able to sort of weave in some tools, some assessments and questionnaires, the faster goal worksheet, and I broke it into different sections. So the first thing is it's a year's worth of planning. The second thing is it's broken into categories. So you have categories for career, finances, relationship, wellness, spirituality, your faith, whether you're a Christian or not, you believe in the power of the universe. It doesn't matter. There's something in there for everybody. And so what I do is I walk through different worksheets at the beginning of each section. And depending on the section you're in, the layout is different. It's not a standard planner with a calendar spread for 12 months or a weekly spread. Each section of the planner is different depending on the area that you're working on. And so what the folks who are on YouTube can see on the screen is the faster goal formula that is incorporated into the planner. And for those of you who are listening, you can go over to KellySUITE.com and grab this for free. You can download it there. And so everyone is welcome to go ahead and head over to KellySUITE.com/shop, and you'll find it under there. And again, it's free, so you can download it. But this basically was designed to help women focus. I think whenever I use a planner, it's a to-do list, right? So of course I had to put a to-do list section in there because it wouldn't be a Kelly tool if it didn't have one.
And you don't know this, Kelly, but Julie and I are to-do list fanatics and planner fanatics. So.
And I'm a little old school. I'm a pencil and paper, not even pen and paper. I have to use a pencil with an eraser. I have a sharpener on my desk. And I even have the portable, like when you were in school sharpeners that I carry with me everywhere because I always have a pencil in my bag. But I notice I will make a to-do list, and then whatever doesn't get done a few days later or at the beginning of another week, I'm starting fresh and dragging over the things that I didn't finish and refreshing my list, right? So definitely I work that into the planner just to do it justice. But the other tabs, if you're in the finance section, there's monthly budgeting tools. If you're in the spiritual section, there's a place to write down your meditation, scripture reading, or positive affirmations. And so each section is designed to help you sit in focus. Because I think when we hear the word prosperity, what's the first thing that comes to mind for most people? Money. And it's not that doesn't mean you're prosperous when you have money. Yes. But I remember when I met my husband, and he would always say, "You're so successful. He's a blue collar guy." And he's like, "I'm not this rich, wealthy guy." I said, "You are richer than any man I have ever met, because you have values that make you so wealthy." Right. And so I want to get it into people's mind that, yes, if you can, the more money you can make, great. We need money. We need it to pay our bills, to live. But it's not always about the money. You need to feel fulfilled. What if you took a job that was 20,000 less, but you weren't so stressed out? You weren't working 16-hour days trying to please your boss and sacrificing your family time, but you were happy, right? One of those three young ladies I told you about earlier, there was a point where she came to me and she said, "I have two job offers. One is $25,000 more a year than the other, but it's doing something I don't really want to do. I know how to do it, but I would just be doing it for the money. The other is so me, and it's everything I've always wanted, but it's a lot less money." My question to her was, will the one with less money be enough to cover your expenses and start saving towards some of your goals and make sure that you can stay afloat and sustain you? And she said, yes. I said, "You've crunched the numbers." She said, yes. I said, "If in a year from now you were to look back, would you have regrets if you took the one that paid more money?" And she said, yes. I said, "You just answered your own question." And I think that is a true definition of prosperity, right? Because now she's loving her life. Every time I check in with her, she's so happy in her current role. I see her posting things on LinkedIn, and I'm almost asking myself, who is this person? That she used to be so down all the time, and now she's so happy. And so there's just something to be said about really feeling content and fulfilled. So this is what the prosperity effect is aimed to do. Its goal is to help you get what you want in every area of your life and really feel fulfilled, so that you're not neglecting one area for the sake of another. You're not neglecting your health or your relationships for the sake of your career, or vice versa.
It reminds me of the movie The Devil Wears Prada at the very end, where, she's got it all. And the guy says to her, "Well, look out, because as soon as your career is on the up and up, your personal life will fall apart." And so I think for me, your prosperity effect is like, it's a holistic thing. Like your career is affected by your financial goals, or, your wellness is affected by your relationships. So I like that, you are motivating women to think about how all these things fit together and creating all these goals, because one might really help another, get to the finish line.
Right. And those women we were talking about that paved the way for us, right? They did an amazing job, because we all have careers because of them,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
But one thing that happened that maybe they weren't thinking about, we didn't get to give up the other job, the one that we were maybe originally designed for, which is the housewife, the mom, right? We still have those responsibilities. So how do you, I hate to use the word balance, as Kelly knows, we've talked about that before, but I don't know, how do we balance that?
Right.
How do we still fulfill that role and now do the other roles? Because I'm grateful for my career. I've had a great run so far, and I'm not done yet, right? I wouldn't want to give that up, but I'm a wife now, and that comes with its own job description. So, it's so true, Julia. Everything is integrated. And that's why we need to, over to the left of the screen, if you scroll over a little, there are you can see where true prosperity is the focal point where all of those categories overlap.
Can you explain a little about the FASTER technique and what that means?
Sure.
How to achieve your goals faster and all of the acronym there?
Yes. So I use the losing weight example because I think it's a common one that a lot of people can relate to. If you've ever heard of SMART goals, this is my version of SMART goals. The reason that I changed it up a little bit is because I needed to figure out a way to put the execute and repeat, because I think it's so important when you have a goal to break it down, right? So anyone can say, I want to lose weight, or even put a number in there and say, I want to lose 50 pounds. And that's very specific. But a lot of people, I've been guilty of this myself, we want to lose 50 pounds in 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Studies show that ideally, if you really want true sustainable weight loss, it should be at a rate of 1 to 2 pounds a week. So if you want to lose 50 pounds, you have to back out of that, right? How do you lose 50 pounds realistically? What's the right time frame? And you do the math. So you also have to think about other things you have going on in your life. If you all of a sudden, you've never exercised and now you're saying, I'm going to exercise 2 hours a day to make up for some of the calories that I want to eat, but you're a mom, a wife, and a career woman, is it realistic that you're going to work out 2 hours a week? You have to set goals that are feasible, meaning they make sense with everything else you have going on in your life. And even if you have to break it down, if that 50 pounds has to become, I'll lose 10 pounds. And when I get there, I'll celebrate and it'll motivate me to lose another 10. And you break it down into 5 10-pound goals instead of 1 50-pound goal. Attainable, same thing as feasible. But again, that's where the realistic time frame comes in. Setting a date that's doable, that's realistic, that is specific. And then execute and repeat the process. I think for me, one of the fun things about going after my goals is when I accomplish one, I feel so good that I have moved the needle that now I'm motivated to keep going. I'm someone, I love exercising and I exercise every single day. I do sometimes anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes. That sounds like a lot to people, and it is a lot. But if a day comes where I can maybe squeeze in 20 minutes. I'm just so annoyed the rest of the day because I didn't get my full workout in. It probably was good for my body to take a little break, but mentally I've become so addicted to it that I have to do it, right? So when you actually do something enough times and you start to accomplish things, it makes you want to keep going. And then when you take action and you have those little wins, that's why I think my clients and my friends have ended up reaching their goals faster because they were just focusing on one. I remember that first young lady that I met, she kept saying to me, I need to know my purpose. I don't know my purpose. She was having, I don't know if this is new for you. It was new for me. She was having a quarter life crisis. She was 25. So that's a thing now, quarter life crisis.
And there's a book.
Oh, see that. So I remember she was having this quarter life crisis, so to speak. She had just become permanent from a temp employee. She was getting her master's degree and she just didn't know if she was in the right job. She didn't know what to focus on. And she had all these things she wanted. And then on top of it, she's getting dropped off in secret spots around the building by her mom because she didn't drive, or she was taking Uber and Lyft. Mm. And we came up with this plan. Every single time you're in the car with your mom, I don't care if it's for 5 minutes to the local grocery store or half hour to work, you get behind the wheel. You just start driving, overcome those fears. She had a license. She just had an experience that, she had some fears. They were real fears, but they were overcomable. She drives now. But she ended up getting that car. We were putting money aside. She would give me money and I would lock it in a drawer every paycheck so she could save up for a deposit. And I think we had set it for 6 months. The dollar amount that she was giving would add up. And it was a pretty big chunk of money to all of a sudden start pulling from her check. I met her in August of 2018. And in December of 2018, she took a few days off to go visit her dad for the holidays, came back and said, I need to withdraw my money. And I said, why? She said, I got a car and I'm going to use it to pay for the insurance and for the deposit. And after that, it was just all these other things that she had always wanted. That accomplishment gave her the momentum and the fuel to just keep going. And then she got her master's. In the middle of COVID, she got her first apartment. She was sharing an apartment with her mom, and that was a goal of hers, was to move out and live on her own. She got her first apartment. She always wanted to be a plus size e-com model. She's doing that. She got signed with an agency, I don't know, almost a year ago, I think now. And so it was like, while we were focusing on the car, she was not thinking about the e-com model piece. It was something she knew she wanted, but we weren't working on that as a goal as I was mentoring her and coaching her. And that's another thing. I think everybody needs to find a mentor.
Yes.
I kind of struggle in the coaching space. The people who really want and would benefit from the coaching don't necessarily have the money that coaches charge. And I feel there's something to be said about bringing mentorship back. And that's why I do not offer one-on-one coaching as a service. It's like a coach in a pocket for a very affordable price so that people can feel that they have my support. And I think it's really crucial that people, as much as possible, do try to find that person that can mentor them and then help them with setting faster goals so that they can execute and repeat. And then all of a sudden, hey, in a matter of 2 years, look, and then the icing on the cake, she ended up meeting somebody, which was something we never talked about. She always got shy when it came to boy talk. So we didn't talk about it. We didn't even touch the topic. And then it just happened as a byproduct, which is what happened in my own life.
Do you make people write down their goals? Did she write all these things down?
Well, in this particular case, we both would come together. We would go sometimes in New Jersey, they had Pliables. I don't know where you live, they have it. It's like a smoothie bowl place. And we would go with our notebooks, our laptops, and we would sit and we would do budgeting. I would do little group sessions with 2 or 3 of them, and we would sit with our notebooks and actually map it out and write it down.
Well, I love the formula, the faster formula, and I'm actually going to print it out and tape it to the side of my computer to remind myself, because it seems to be easier to remember than SMART goals, but I know they are very similar.
Yeah, I like it better.
So,
agreed.
Yeah, I do like it better.
Oh, thank you.
So the other question that I wanted to explore with you is, you have all these areas that are supposedly supposed to be balanced, right? And that everyone wants to have prosperity in. Based on your experience, not individually, but as a group with all the women that you've worked with, is there one area that people are having more difficulty than others? And has that changed over the years? Did it change over COVID? Did relationships become more tough? What sort of trends are you seeing in working with individuals and women?
So the trends that I'm seeing there is a shift. I think for me, a lot of women come to me asking for help with their career because I've been in talent acquisition for just about 2 decades, right? So that's a natural thing for people to want advice on. They want resume help, interview prep support, and that sort of thing, offer negotiations. And so while that might just be a byproduct of my expertise, I do think it is something that always was on the forefront of people's minds when it comes to their career. But with COVID, there has been a shift to mental health. I think we're all seeing it. I feel every commercial, every post I see, everything is about mental health. And I think what's happening, people are becoming more aware of the need for balance in these areas because they're all, and Julia talked about it before, right? These all affect each other. Every single bucket affects the other bucket. And so while the focus or the ultimate goal is to improve mental health and overall well-being, right? Physical health, spiritual health, mental health. In order to do that, they're looking deeper at every area. People are starting to say, hey, I need healthier boundaries in my interpersonal relationships. I don't even mean your intimate relationships with your partner or spouse. I'm talking your colleagues, your friends, your family, and that sort of thing. And they're looking at their finances, they're looking at their career. And so it's more of a holistic approach now, because in order to achieve that optimal mental health, there needs to be fulfillment and prosperity in every area. So I'm finding that the ultimate goal now is that overall well-being. I think that's almost a little gift that COVID has given us, if you will. I know it's been a disastrous year and a half, and we thought we were coming out of it, and then we're not coming out of it, but made so many people get in touch with what they want across the board in their lives. And to our benefit, it has forced employers to take a different approach to how they treat their employees, because there's now this mass exodus happening. I don't know if you follow those trends, but I think they're actually calling it like a mass exodus or something. And people are saying, you know what? I want to feel valued. And it's interesting because way before COVID ever came, I would always coach people and tell them interviewing and working is a two-way street. I have a blog on it, on work-life balance. We forget, we're so worried about performing for the job or nailing that interview so that they like us, that we forget what's in it for us. What are they giving you? You are exchanging service for pay. So if they're giving you PTO, use it. There's nothing that can't wait till you get back, or nothing that someone can't cover for you while you're out, right? And so we've lived in this world for so many decades, and we have just become a product of this. I work for this employer, I do what they want when they want it, and my life comes second. All the other things, my relationships, my health. Oh, I don't have time to exercise because I spent 4 hours commuting today, right? And now I have to go take care of my family. Why is that okay? It's not. But no one was speaking up for themselves, and they were forgetting that part of the formula. I figured that out about, I would say, 2010, only because I had a really great manager who was like, if you answer emails after 6, they're going to want you to always answer emails after 6. But if you draw a line, they'll just learn, okay, she'll get back to me the next day, right? And when I took off, I didn't answer emails. I would address them when I came back. So I figured that out a really long time ago. And I'm not one of those people that my boss would have to chase down to say, hey, you haven't used your PTO. I used every single day that was allotted to me. And I think that's something that, again, COVID has given us, that's a positive, is that employers are starting to realize if they want to attract and retain talent, they have to start valuing their people. It has to be a give and take. So people, again, to go back to your question, Kelly, is they're focusing on their overall mental health and well-being and lifestyle. And so they're dissecting and digging deeper in to all those things that are going to contribute to the improved mental health and to the optimal state of where they want to be. And so perfect timing for the prosperity effect. I didn't time it that way. It was just a coincidence, but all for the better. It's actually something that I want to do. I want to partner with corporations to use this as an employee appreciation gift so that they can value their employees by saying, hey, we want you to be happy all around so that when you show up, you're your best self. And so that's something that I'm kind of working on.
Well, that's the good news. Like, let's celebrate some good news that, the pandemic has helped people realize that everything fits together and mental health is so important. I was going to ask you, so what does a coaching relationship look like with you? Like how, for everyone, Kelly and I have talked to some other coaches too. Everyone has their own kind of system. And I think it is something that people don't necessarily know what that looks like. So if someone were like, Kelly Francis, I dig her. I want to work with her. I want her to be my, my life coach. How does that work?
So I don't offer one-on-one service.
Okay. Yes. You said that. All right.
Right. I am able to do workshops. If people wanted to contact me to do workshops, I can do that, and even use, I have some digital versions, condensed versions of the planner that serve sort of as a workbook for those types of things. I try to do stuff like this where I can come on a podcast or go do a talk somewhere at a networking event and things like that, where I can reach as many people as possible and inspire them and motivate them. You said this was a positive that came out of COVID. I tend to be one of those people that will always find the positive in things. And so I just use that to try and pour into other people, one to many, so to speak. And when it does come to one-on-one mentoring or coaching, I learned pretty quick in the process after getting my life coach certification that I did not want to be a paid coach for one-on-one services, because I was struggling. I'm a Christian, and I was struggling with getting paid to do something, to use a gift that God gave me. I just wasn't feeling right about it. And every single coach I know is like, no, it's okay to get paid for your gifts. And it is. And there's a lot of gifts that I have that I can get paid for. I can get paid to speak. I can get paid to recruit or, work on a talent project for a company. And those are gifts that I have as well. But there's something about truly making a difference in someone's life. So if someone happens to meet me that's close enough to me that I end up mentoring, it could just be a one-time thing. I meet them at an event and we have a little chat, or we stay connected and the relationship grows and I evolve as their mentor. Well, then thank God for allowing me to do that. But to say I would actually offer that service and get paid for it, something about it, I was wrestling with it and it just didn't feel right for me. And there really is, it might just sound so cheesy, but there's something about other people's success being my reward. And that's enough for me.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So people can get your planner, they can read your blog, they can follow you on social and absorb all of Kelly, who Kelly is. And that's how you share it with the world.
Yeah, I even have a Pinterest. I know people that look for motivation, they turn to Pinterest a lot. I have a Pinterest.
Yeah.
I'm a pinner. So how can people get a hold of you, Kelly? What's your website address for people listening?
Sure. So it's KellySUITE.com, which is KellySUITE.com. You can email me, Kelly@KellySUITE. I do read all of my emails and reply. So if anyone has a question, or I love if there's something that you do want to see me share on social media, if there's certain types of tips that you are looking for or want more of, I can write a blog or, put it on social. So definitely email me and let me know your thoughts, what you would love to see more of. I'm open to that. I am on all of the social media platforms. I am probably most active on Instagram. Social media, I'm not going to lie, I get stuck here because it's not really my thing. But the world's forcing me to do something I don't want to do. So most active on Instagram, which is at KellySUITE_LLC. But you can also find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Pinterest as well.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast today, Kelly. We appreciate it. And I am so excited to download my copy of The Prosperity Effect and tape some of the keynotes up on my computer. So we appreciate your time today.
Thank you both so much for having me. It's been lovely. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our show. If you did, we'd be so grateful if you left us a podcast review. Also, follow us on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're at 2 Marketing Moms or 2 Marketing MKTG Moms for highlights, quotes, and takeaways from each episode.